Hello, everyone. So this is Jay, who is currently editing. Turns out this is quite a long episode, probably because we didn't record in December. So there's 2 months worth of content here. So instead of releasing one massively long episode, we decided to split this into two. So the first part will be general news stories over the last couple of months. And then the second part, which will probably be released in a couple of weeks, will be the main topic, which is the SolarWinds breach. Enjoy.
Giggle HQ has a security team. We don't need random Twitter people. Moving on.
Do I usually call myself Chippy or Harriet? I don't
You
remember.
call yourself Harriet, but then
Do
everyone
I?
else calls you Chippy.
Oh, fuck. I'll just switch to Chippy then, okay?
Well, Ali also calls himself March, and then everybody just calls him Alice and Alistair. So
That is true. So I guess it doesn't matter what you call yourself. We're going to
Okay,
call you
good.
whatever we want to call you.
I mean, our 5 listeners will be very confused.
So confused.
Yeah. I don't even know how to start. I'm kind of out of the swing of things.
Like, welcome to the Great First Three Hats podcast of the year.
I got it.
we missed the Christmas episode.
I'll wing it. Hello and welcome to the. Are we on the 4th episode? Is this 4?
Third.
Or
I think 4. Yeah,
I
the
think
4th
third.
episode of the 3rd or 4th episode of the Grey Hats podcast. This is the first episode of 2021, which is pretty
Happy New
exciting.
Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas, since we couldn't do a Christmas episode. We had some big plans, but it didn't happen. Laziness, busyness, I think just Christmas time. But I think that's totally fine. So for the next hour and a half, maybe, we're the Grey Hats.
I'm Saskia, first of her name, King of the Yogurts.
I am Jose.
I'm also Jose.
And I'm Harriet.
What happened to March?
He couldn't come, so I just brought another Jose.
Okay, two just. At least you guys might agree this time on things.
Mm-mm.
So I guess we've got like 2 months worth of things to discuss. Who wants to go first?
Capitol, storming the Capitol. InfoSec got very, very upset over the storming of the Capitol. They
mean,
want to unlock computers, which is more important than the lives of senators.
When does InfoSec not get upset?
That is a valid point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I briefly commented on Twitter that a lot of what I saw was, oh my god, all of these computers need to be reinstalled, everything needs to be re-imaged, the hardware needs to be replaced. In what world does the government have the budget for that?
And also, I guess who are the people that actually took the equipment or managed
Terrorists! They're terrorists who broke in with guns.
Exactly. Like I don't think we're looking at highly complex cyber attackers here. More opportunistic.
What, are you saying I don't understand. Are you saying it was stupid for them to walk up and film everything and have take photos of themselves in Nancy Pelosi's chair and all of that? You're saying they weren't, their OPSEC wasn't.
I mean, I would say the InfoSec thing should be more about teaching the terrorists how not to give away all of their OPSEC.
Wear a mask or something.
Yeah.
Don't say your name out loud for the cameras.
Don't
Yeah,
live stream it on your account.
Yeah, they're in minus Grook points now.
Yeah. It does seem kind of ironic that had they been into mask wearing, then maybe not as many would have been caught.
I mean, they would have all been caught. They were all walking around with their phones. They were idiots.
Yeah.
We had a lovely disaster dashboard set up where we could watch everything unfold in real time. I missed that day. It was good. Most of it streamed from these people's phones, by the way. They had so many of them had their own Twitch streams or Facebook streams. It was insane.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of that, wasn't the there was this young woman that was there who tried to sell one of the laptops to her Russian contact, and I think the one of the main reasons she was there is to live stream, because she was doing a lot of social media stuff beforehand, like, oh, I can't wait to tell my grandkids I was here, like all that kind of stuff.
She got Nancy Pelosi's laptop, which she tried to sell to Russia, and
Yeah.
she's bailed back into the custody of her mother, despite trying to sell Nancy Pelosi's laptop to the Russians. Which, given that a young black man was, held on parole on an island for 3 years for allegedly stealing a backpack when he was 16 years old, feels very, very measured of the states.
It does indeed. But you say to, sell it to the Russians. Is it to the Russians or is it to a Russian friend?
Just any Russian.
Yeah.
As if the Russians didn't have already Nancy Pelosi's laptop.
Yeah, I don't think they need just like a laptop. It was
A
apparently
laptop.
just like a conference room laptop that did PowerPoint presentations anyway.
Okay, so maybe nothing too sensitive on it, but I mean, it is a, like, I know we joke and the InfoSec community has gone a bit extreme with some of their takes, but at the same time, you would expect there to be some level of security on these devices, right? So, but then at the same time, there's the human safety aspect. So there was obviously machines left unlocked, but if you think that you're about to be killed, are you really going to stop and lock your machine?
Yes.
I think I would, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think more out of habit as I'm standing up.
I mean, I think it depends on the situation, right? But there they had like quite a bit of fair warning about what was going to happen. So
Yeah.
it's not like, I mean, there was a rush, but there wasn't like, oh my God, the bomb is exploding now, kind of rush.
But I think that was part of the argument that InfoSec and its its wisdom was saying is that it should have had like automated systems to lock out screens if you're not active on them for a period of time that clearly weren't in
Sure.
place.
Well, there might have been. I mean, that thing got stormed within 15 minutes, so it's very possible that it did get stormed before the stuff got locked down.
But I mean, that's a long time.
I've got a 15-minute lock on my laptop. It's pretty reasonable.
Oh God, mine's like 5 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, mine has been so low that it's almost unusable. Like you stop to think about something and it locks. I'm like, what? Let's wiggle the mouse.
Seriously, if I walk into the kitchen and like get some water and come back, I'm risking it having locked within that period of time. It's got a really, really like short lock time on it.
Well, you'd be fine if your flat got stormed then.
Well, you know what? It's because I worked at MWR. Seriously, you leave anything unattended for seconds. Your screen's upside down, the dick swinger's on.
The dick swinger? What's the dick swinger?
The meat spinner.
Meat spin.
Oh, meat spin.
Yeah. Chippy. Oh, meat spin. Yeah, of course.
Spin round, right?
Next thing you know, someone's ordered a load of Dunkin' Donuts for the whole office.
Yeah.
I would never have done that.
No, you would not. Other Jose?
I mean, it teaches you hygiene pretty quickly working with you lot.
Yeah, but also encryption as well. People are talking about the hardware being sold, but if it's encrypted, I mean, it's unlikely that laptop's been powered on all this time. So, yeah, I mean, it does feel like
Mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, so I do agree. However, it is also, only takes like one thing to go wrong. One bit of, one
Just
password to
one
be leaked.
VPN certs.
Yeah, exactly. So there probably should be protections in place, and I guess that is probably one of the the risk profiles they do want to think about. Having to leave the building quickly, making sure that things get locked and stuff. But yeah, it was.
I feel like we're making a whole pile of assumptions about what their security posture is based on thousands of crazy people who unprecedentedly stormed the Capitol because of, ironically, the president. I think, like, as somebody who spends a lot of time threat modeling and looking at abuse cases, I think it would be reasonable to expect that this wouldn't happen on a regular basis. One would probably have had more in place to prevent it from happening across, because security isn't just about, cybersecurity isn't just about the data, it's about the mechanism in which you get to that data. So the idea that they never thought that they might be a target for people storming them is an odd one, but you kind of learn from experience. But I do feel like we and a lot of the hot takes on Twitter are making a lot of assumptions right now. Like March
that's what we
says,
do.
it might be that they have a reason that they have like a 10 or 15 minute lockout system, you know, on the computer.
I think you can argue that if it's at the point where somebody is able to see the emails there, then whatever policy they have is not adequate. That's not to say that there was a breach or that sensitive data was.
I mean, there was a breach.
That was clearly a breach.
Sorry, I mean like a breach of sensitive data, or breach of like.
I mean, there was a breach of sensitive data. If it's relevant or not, that's a different discussion. But
sure, yeah.
Some random dude saw emails inside.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, exactly.
So it is a breach of sensitive data.
Mm-hmm.
It might be a irrelevant breach of sensitive data, but it's still a breach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And luckily these weren't particularly, well, they don't appear to have been particularly prepared people, apart from Edward Zip Tie Hands. He looked pretty prepared, to be honest, but as a rule, they didn't look like they were people who were particularly prepared to kind of be hiding in the storm of the Capitol building that they didn't know was going to happen, equipped with scanners and dongles and what have you, to like actually be doing something meaningful with any of that data. It just seemed that like it was opportunist people. So maybe this is an opportunity to retest policy and protocol and practice and get a better threat model in place.
Yeah, for sure.
Opportunity. But also, like Jamal was saying, there's only you only need like one operator to make the difference in the amidst hundreds of dumbasses, I guess.
Yeah. Speaking of the storming of the Capitol, did you see that that Parler or Parler? What do we agree? Parler. We have one vote for Parler.
It's Parler.
Parler.
It's Parler.
Maybe Parler.
Jose, what do you think?
I mean, in French, it would be parler.
Yeah, but they're not French. They're American.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what it is.
Okay. So Parler/Parler is a social media app similar to Twitter, but for aimed more towards like right-wing groups. They say that they're anti like censorship. Yeah, like freedom of speech, all that kind of stuff. And I've heard that more left-wing people do actually get like removed from the platform. But because of the type of people that use it, as the Capitol was being stormed, this is where they were talking about it a lot, leading up to the event as well. This is where they were kind of organizing some things. And so I think, what was the name? Donk NB on Twitter, Donk underscore NB, decided to try and like harvest all that data. So I think, is it a she or they? She.
Okay. Yeah, so she's been scraping it, but it was kind of interesting because then Google and AWS wouldn't host it anymore, and then the App Store and Google Play wouldn't sort of host
removed it. Yeah,
so that was removed as well. And then there were also like a number of Twitter accounts. So there's Parler or Parler takes, and what would it be? Parler. Parler means to speak. A parler. Where you drink.
I think they're going for parlay. I think that's what they're going for.
They might be going for that, but maybe the user base would be more reading it like parlor.
I mean, March was saying parlor, so I mean, he's the user base.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, libertarian maybe, right wing no.
I'm not libertarian. It is apparently taken from the French word meaning to speak.
Thank you.
The name was originally intended to be pronounced as in French, but is now pronounced as the English word parlor. So there we go.
Okay, this makes it even better for me. So instead of the idea of it's kind of like pirates who have to parlay. So when you have parlay as pirates, it means you're allowed to speak freely and it would be confidential. It's actually a load of women knitting and sitting in a parlor drinking tea. Well done. Yeah. Well done, white supremacists. You've done it again. It's like the Proud Boys all over again, isn't it?
I do like that. But before talking about how he gets shut down, the like all the posts around the 6th of January were archived by Donk NB. And I think there was 70 terabytes of data that was harvested from it. So basically what they did is just scraped the like query data. Well, I think they reversed the iOS application to find out what the API was. I believe there was a second API, not the main one, but some other one. And the message IDs were incremental. So they were just able to increment the counter basically of the ID and then retrieve the post associated with it. 70 terabytes data, including videos, images, I believe geolocation in some of those pictures. And it did include things like email addresses, but only when people posted that themselves. I also believe that deleted posts were archived.
Deleted and private posts. It was just due to the bad security settings of what we're going for, Parler.
Yeah.
They had just had really bad security settings. So when something was deleted, it wasn't actually deleted. It was just, deleted is true kind of thing. So when they scraped it, they were all still available.
There was a whole thread on that on Twitter where one of the devs, senior head of devs from Salesforce, I can't remember her name offhand, but she's awesome. And she did a whole thing about how it's built and that they didn't understand that a database that's run off Excel will crash out at 1.2 billion entries. That showed that the build itself was just so immature that you wouldn't expect the security to have any maturity at all. Did anyone else see that?
No, I missed that.
That was really, really interesting. It was really interesting. Yeah, because she basically just dissected what they had been saying as to why the site had gone down so drastically. And also their CTO, who himself is quite junior, is the only person who would have had the knowledge to fix this, was asleep at the time that it happened, but they had nothing in place.
I think this happened over the course of a period of time, though, because you're not going to do 70 terabytes over an evening. And actually, I think it was a team of people trying to.
So basically, if I recall correctly, they announced on Twitter that they were doing this, and then multiple people were joining and basically orchestrating. Okay, you've downloaded from this to here. Now I'll start at this ID, and then basically it was like a team effort, like a open source, how do you say source crowdsourced efforts, I guess. Which is, it's one of the few moments in InfoSec community where people actually come together, I guess.
There was a Reddit post as well. Did people see that, where the user tried to describe what happened and got almost everything wrong? And then people started going with that. So they were claiming that, everything had been leaked, everyone's email address, everyone's phone number, every document that's had been uploaded, every all your identification that you tied to your account and stuff. And they come up with this really complex kind of attack where the attackers were able to create admin accounts and all this other kind of nonsense. And then that's the story that started to spread. And I kind of noticed a similar thing a couple of months ago where I think someone found a domain that used to belong to Parler, and it was hosting a WordPress site, and there was some debug information or something. And then all over Twitter, people were saying, "Oh my God, Parler got hacked. All your DMs have been leaked," and no one was really checking the validity of that. And then the same thing happened again with this one. Of course, 70 terabytes data is a lot of data for people to have available, but it definitely isn't as much as some people were thinking. But yeah, kind of interesting. It'd be interesting to see what people do with that data, because obviously looking at what's happening in the capital up until the.
So I believe most of it's going to the FBI.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I'm sure you could start to, I don't know, find interesting bits of information when analyzing the right way. Might be a cool project to work on, see what you can pull out of it.
So there's additional things that have been happening, sort of again with the Parler thing, or Parler, which is that there's been a number of people, predominantly women, who have been sitting on Tinder and Bumble, and they've been setting their political assuasions to right wing, and then they've been honeypotting people who are at the Capitol to get them to send pictures of them at the Capitol and videos, and then feeding that through to the FBI as well, which I really quite enjoy. Like, so there's 3 gentlemen on this call. Have you all been on Tinder or Bumble or whatever?
Yes.
No comment.
Do you try and impress the ladies, or indeed the gentlemen, or indeed the non-binaries, with your hacky exploits?
Yes.
No. What? How can you do that?
You've got to.
Okay, would you send evidence of that though?
How can you impress someone with that?
Hey, there's a technique you can use to do it. Okay, right? I will share it with you after the call.
I feel like we're threading on very thin ice over here. Please expand.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
I want to know more. What's going
Okay.
on?
All ears.
Okay, so the next 2 minutes is now going to be Jay's advice, right?
Yes.
This
It
is a
will
new
also be
section.
edited out, but let's go for it.
It may be edited out. So what you do is you don't tell them what you do, right? You have to let them figure it out, right? That's the first thing. So you don't like, oh yeah, I'm a hacker. Like that's not going to work. That's going to scare them away, right? So they say, what do you do for a job? You're like, well, I do some things with computers. We try to break into banks and blah blah blah, and then bit back and forth. They figure out and then they're like, oh, so you're like a hacker. I'm like, yeah, I'm like a hacker. Listen, man, why are you laughing?
This is like what the fuck, man?
You got to have charisma. Yes, you've got to have charisma, right? But
I'm dying here. Please leave this in.
Please.
We'll see.
Wait, what's the end of this? Is that it? Is that the whole play?
No.
Yeah, that's where Jamal stops.
To be honest, yeah, as soon as I get the number, I'm too scared to do anything after that. So,
like I said,
Put it
yeah,
in his Excel spreadsheet.
exactly, just my spreadsheet.
Another one.
It's a
Yeah,
bit like being a hacker, and we sort of break into banks, but I'm under an NDA, so I can't actually tell you anything.
yeah. Oh, I can't really talk about it. That can work. I'm up to 4 numbers in my spreadsheet now. But yeah, so that's good.
No idea where we were before this.
Yeah, I remember. I think Bumble and Tinder, they did. They kind of responded by removing the ability to filter based on political.
That's no.
So I don't think that was a thing in Tinder. I believe
Okay.
It was in Bumble though.
Okay.
thing in Bumble, yes, and they disabled the political affiliation thing because I guess they considered this to be a privacy issue. I don't. I think if you're stupid enough to give away private information like that, then you are an open target.
And plus, it's important to know. I think. I mean, it is very partisan at the moment, but that is something people are interested in filtering on. So removing it seems like I don't know. I don't know if it says anything about Bumble or anything, but seems like a weird decision.
Probably, I mean, with my DPO hat on, I probably would have suggested that they would have done something like that if they were a client of mine, just simply because there would have been a potential for privacy issues and how the information was being dealt with and passed through, and was it clearly explained in terms of using Bumble that if you give this stupid information it might be passed on to the FBI, and then also if the FBI was sort of getting this information through from these women, would they then want to check into the Bumble accounts themselves to verify that it was definitely from these people? So you're kind of opening a bit of a can of worms from a privacy law perspective there, but it's still a fun story.
It is for sure, yeah.
And it led us to Jay's, seduction techniques, which was...
If that stays in, then what you said will make sense.
Everything that Jay described is much more of a crime than being left or right wing.
Excuse me, what? Telling people what your job is and having them impressed by it, that's not a crime.
I don't know, man. It feels very weird.
Listen,
there's a power play there.
I've not just described it correctly on this podcast.
Okay.
mobile apps. Yeah.
This is the best
Moving on
segue
with
ever.
the broadest topic possible.
So Bumble is a mobile app. WhatsApp is also a mobile app.
Absolutely.
WhatsApp with the whole.
Oh my God, was that your segue?
Yeah. Don't think it was good?
No.
Oh.
No, at least now we know that Jay's flirting skills are as good as his hosting skills.
Honestly, the way that I would have segued that, sweetheart, I would have said. So it's kind of interesting that you would have felt like that, as a DPO when you're thinking about privacy with Bumble. Wasn't there an issue with privacy on WhatsApp this week, Saskia?
Shame you're not the host, isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah. So we have to go with my segue, which is mobile app. WhatsApp.
It rhymes and everything.
It does, yeah. So privacy issues with WhatsApp. I was reading about that recently, and I think we've all seen like how many people are moving to other messaging apps at the moment.
So it's interesting that the new privacy policy that was rolled out for WhatsApp has caused quite a stir. Record number of people have moved over to Signal. Interestingly, Wire haven't really jumped on this, which you would assume they would have done. But in response, WhatsApp has actually dialed back the implementation of this privacy policy because they've lost a huge amount of people on the platform.
Oh, really?
Actually, they've just delayed it, right? I might be wrong.
When they dialed it back, I meant delayed in terms of time. I think they will bring it in, but
yeah, in the sense that like they delay it, but they don't have to announce it again because they already did announce it. So when it ever actually gets enforced, they don't go through the same backlash over again because they already went through.
Well, they're still going to need to get people to accept it.
Yeah, if you've accepted it, you had 2 weeks before it took effect.
Yeah, so none of us know anyone that will just accept terms and conditions without reading them.
I didn't. I kept just like closing it.
Yeah, so I just kept closing it and it just keeps coming back.
Yeah, but I've not seen it in a while, so I guess that's because they've delayed it. It's interesting. So Jose, you think that it's just they're going to wait for people to forget about it and then roll it back out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not like they're definitely rolling it back out from what I've seen, unless there's something changed. But what I saw is that they just delayed enforcing the new policy. But because people already accepted it or they already put it like in place with the dates, they don't have to actually, by regulation, they don't have to announce it again. You see what I mean? Okay. So it's not like they can say, oh, we're rolling back, when in reality, they're just delaying it. And people, oh, okay, maybe it's not that bad. And they just keep using WhatsApp, but then they're going to go through the same policy again. It's just they won't go through the backlash that they did this time.
Yeah, interesting.
There are actually requirements under transparency that if it isn't enacted and then you decide to enact it, you do have to give that information out to people. So this is going to cause all sorts of fuckery with Privacy Shield. And they've got a new person's just been appointed. I believe it was today. It's Christopher Hoff has been appointed to negotiate the Privacy Shield situation between the States and Europe. So I expect it's probably more to do with that because WhatsApp's owned by Facebook. Facebook are really pissed about Privacy Shield and have said that they'll pull out of Europe unless it can be renegotiated. At the moment, Europe's just kind of said, bring it on. So I think we'll see what happens with, well, personally, I'm basing this on absolutely nothing except a hunch. But I'm assuming that because Christopher Hoff will now be starting to have these discussions. They spelt his name wrong as well.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. When the Biden administration announced that they were gonna have him in place, they spelt it Christopher PH and he's Christopher with an F. So I don't think they started on the best foot. But yeah, so I think there's all sorts of things that are kind of in motion at the moment that have probably like halted things. But I think Europe's going to dig its heels in.
I'm surprised how many people actually seem to care about the change in privacy, to be honest. I know a lot of Facebook users don't care.
We've kind of discussed this in other episodes. It's like people, they just don't know.
Yeah.
You know? So when this happens, because there was some media coverage and whatever, they started realizing it. But we've actually argued about this before because I'm from the side that if people not knowing is not, an excuse to not do the right thing. But yeah, people just don't know. So whenever they found out, now they care, but they don't really realize. Even if they say that, we're giving all this data to Facebook or Twitter, whatever, they don't really understand the depth and the impact that that data has and what companies can do with the data. I watched the documentary fairly recently. I don't remember what it was called, but it was like from this guy that used to work at Google and he did like UI for Gmail. I think it's called The Social Dilemma, but I'm not 100%. Okay. And it's really eye opening, and I think that if people watch that, like, because it's very easy for like a non-tech person to understand what they're saying. So if people watched it, I think it would really, change their perception on how far companies will go for the data and how useful it is for them.
That was the Netflix one, wasn't it? Whether at the end the kid was like radicalized into sort of gun crime and things. And
yeah, exactly.
Basically through bidding on ads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was watching this other documentary or something. And it was interesting because a very similar premise about privacy online. People are very shocked when they find out what kind of things are happening and how they're trying to be manipulated. So in this particular case, it was to try and convince them not to vote. So I think this was for the 2016 US election. So there was a lot of effort put in to find the groups of people that they want to try and, convince not to vote for president. And then when they were told they were being targeted, they're like, yeah, but advertising like that wouldn't work on me. Completely not thinking the fact that they did exactly what they were trying to be pushed to not do.
So I've just shared a graphic with everybody, which I guess we can, I don't know, put up on at some point on the podcast when we share. But that was shared by Elliot Alderson, the French security researcher.
Oh yeah, I see this. Yeah.
Yeah, and it shows how much data is taken on these different platforms. So it starts off with Signal, which takes nothing. Then it's got iMessage. It's all about the data linked to you, which has got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points of data. WhatsApp data linked to you, and bearing in mind this is pre-new privacy policy, so analytics 1, 2. So what has it got? Purchases, locations, contact info, user. Sorry, it's a bit difficult to see, but 1, 2, 3.
I will share a link with this. Share
a link to it, but by the time it gets to Facebook Messenger, it's horrific.
Yeah, but Signal has more data than that, right? So at least the phone number for Signal.
No, it's not about data that it holds. It's about data that's linked to you.
And the phone number you don't think is linked to an individual.
So the way that it works with Signal is that you have a security number, which isn't necessarily the phone number, and it can change.
You have to have the phone number for Signal.
Yeah, you have to have the phone number, but you can change them. So it's a security number that it's linked to. So did you notice in one of our group chats that we have on Signal, I had to kind of reset it and reformat it, and then Asif was like, what's going on?
That safety number is your like public key. But your phone number is linked to your Signal account, if you will.
Yeah, so maybe that graph isn't fully accurate, or maybe they have a different definition of like data.
Maybe it could be just biased, because I'm pretty certain iMessage takes more than 5 things.
There's a really good spreadsheet, like at least a screenshot of a spreadsheet that I've shared a few times that does basically what Saskia's infograph does, but with even more options for other apps, so like Telegram, Wire, etc.
Okay, interesting.
So that one is really useful, but it's a little bit more technical. I think that Saskia's one is the one that I've been sharing, with like my family. Yeah, that's the one, Saskia.
Yeah, if you share that one as well, Jay. I just happened to have it saved from Jose when he sent it last time.
I think like the infograph from Saskia actually also says like a lot about the business model of the companies, because that's really what's behind all of this. It's not like Facebook just likes to know your data because it likes it. Like Signal is a non-profit organization, so they don't have to answer to investors. They don't have to monetize the data because they don't have to make a profit. So basically they live on donations, and that's pretty much, from a business perspective, why they can design their solution without requiring any data. And then iMessage is also one of the best ones it's like the second best one in the infograph from Saskia. But that's also because Apple, it's not, an advertised based business model. They want to sell you a phone, and iMessage is just a feature. So they don't really need, it's like, Apple will probably, say that, oh, we care so much about your privacy and whatever. But the truth is that even if they don't care, they also don't need it. So that's why they don't collect any of your data. Yeah. And of course, Facebook is purely all the revenue comes from ads. So they need the data to deliver better ads. And WhatsApp, being a Facebook company, is just going through the same, through the same business model.
Absolutely. Yeah. Apple already have all my money because I started using Apple 10 years ago, which means everything I have is now Apple. And I'm kind of, locked into that addiction that is Apple.
You have a minute to talk about our Lord and Savior, Microsoft.
No, again, I'm not doing this again.
All of these models effectively work on addiction. And, Chippy is smirking, but she's with me in the Apple Club. It's like once you've been Apple, it's just so hard to go back that you just end up, it's an abusive relationship.
Yeah, and that's what they want from you. They want to keep you in their ecosystem, in their environments. They don't really, care if what your email is and if you like gray hats or black hats or whatever. They just want you to buy their products and their solutions. That's it.
And my 79 pence a month that I spend on my cloud solutions, which I now do across all my accounts because all of my accounts will now integrate with them as well. And they make my life easier when my hardware actually works.
Exactly. And that's where they're bringing their money from. So, I mean, people have been saying this for years that, if you don't see products, then you are the products.
If you don't pay for the product, you're the product.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, but they don't actually realize what's behind it. They're just starting to realize it. But the truth is that Facebook has been around for 15 years, and Google even more.
It's interesting actually, because I was asked by actually some family members, younger family members, not older family members, why WhatsApp had decided to do that at this point. And it's, I have a number of ideas why I think it would be, that Facebook in itself has become an aging population, that a lot of younger people who are more security minded have moved off Facebook onto other platforms, so they're not harvesting as much information from there. That like all of the dev packages that they have that automatically push information to Facebook have now been sort of found out and stopped. But also there's a richness of data within WhatsApp because it's often used for business continuity and disaster recovery amongst companies and stuff. But what does the rest of the group think? Why now? Why at this point?
Probably because it's taken them this long to get it through, legal. That would be my guess. Purely that. I don't think it's anything other than that.
I always overcomplicate everything in your eyes.
I would also say that they were waiting to have a really established position in the market because unlike Facebook, which, when there's not that many competitors to Facebook, not at that scale at least, but for WhatsApp, there's always been competitors to messaging apps. So I think that I would say that only recently they've really consolidated themselves as a very established leader in the market.
I don't know about that. I think WhatsApp's been a pretty established leader in the messaging market for a long time.
Yeah, well,
Chippy, they're disagreeing.
No, we definitely agree. It's just subjective to, what makes it established leader. Right now, I think they had 2 billion, 1 billion, 2 billion installations. I mean, something ridiculous like that. In India, they have 400 million installations. It's a very large scale from what it was 2-3 years ago. So if they did this 2 or 3 years ago, it would be much easier for people to just move, their friends and contacts and groups to another chats. So as the most, like the longer they can stretch this decision to make people like really kind of addicted, as Saskia was saying, to their platform, the less of an impact they will have. I guess they just miscalculated it, because it did have quite an impact still.
Moving on from that just a little bit, do you think that a rise in some of these other messaging applications are going to have more people looking at them and finding vulnerabilities?
I think they've been looked at a lot already, to be honest.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, Signal,
Everyone wants
like,
to-
the Whisper protocol has been public for years now, right? Like many years, I think. So people have already looked at it, and even if you do find vulnerabilities, it won't be like design flaws. Like you might have like a technical, logical coding vulnerability, but you won't have like a design vulnerability, because honestly, the people looking at the source code are not the people that will find those flaws. Like the people that will find cryptographic flaws are in academia, and they have PhDs.
Yeah. Well, there's been a few that I've seen come about recently. So Naomi Wu, not a security issue really. Well, I mean, kind of depends how you look at it. But she was talking about like third-party keyboards. So she's Chinese. She has a third-party keyboard. I believe that most Chinese phones will have a third-party keyboard. And she's been arguing that Signal should inform users that are using these third-party keyboards that there will be security implications.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a very fair point. And it's something that you yourself would report for any mobile application with any sensitive use case. I mean, I've reported it literally last week for a banking application.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm doing banking, you probably don't want your customer to have a third-party keyboard full of malware, keylogging everything they say or write. But that's kind of what I was saying. Like, you'll probably find like these low-level flaws, or even a very severe remote code execution flaw. Fine, but you won't actually break the protocol. I mean, that's cryptographically secure.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there some kind of issue? I think there was a 12 or 13-year-old kid had created a clone of Signal, and it meant that any...
No, it meant he was basically using their API.
Oh, right.
That's all he was doing. Nothing fancy.
So, I mean, it's in terms of like, like good on the kid. He seemed to be, if he did that, at 12 or 13, it's kind of impressive. But yeah, that definitely isn't an issue with Signal. And there's not a huge amount that they could do to stop someone from doing that. There are some things to make it harder, but to stop them, probably not. So yeah, I read about that. That was kind of interesting. But I also did read about some issues that Natalie Silvanovich found some issues with a few different apps. So I think it was Signal, Facebook Messenger. I don't know the details. I didn't actually read all the blog posts, but it was something to do with you could force the caller to connect. So in theory, use it to listen into people's private conversations and stuff. So yeah, I mean,
I actually remember this.
Okay, it was recently. The post came out
like a year ago, maybe.
No, I think it was just a few days ago, 19th of January, 2021.
I've definitely heard of a similar bug with Signal like a year or two ago.
But I think it is multiple platforms. I don't think it's just Signal. I think it was a whole bunch of them.
There was 5 of them, I think. So it says on January 2019, a vulnerability was discovered in group FaceTime, which allows a target to force the call to connect. So I think what they probably did is use that original work from 2019 and looked at the like other apps. So she says that she looked at Signal in September 2019, and there was a very similar setup that was happening. And also it might just be that she's only just been able to release the blog post. She says that she looked at Facebook Messenger in October 2020. So yeah, maybe she stacked these up and then just released it all in one post. But yeah, I mean, I do feel like we might start to see think more security issues being released within these apps as they are kind of exploding.
Also, if anyone's interested in following her, she's at Natashenka on Twitter.
So no segue for this one, unfortunately. I know people love my segues. Flash is no more. Flash is no more. I feel like we should pour a drink for what was a large part of my teenage life.
Yeah, I won't do that. Fuck Flash.
What? No, come on. Flash got me through many classes.
You just say fuck Flash?
Yes.
Dude, okay.
Fuck Flash. Die
Why?
in a fire.
What's your problem with Flash?
It is a horrible technology that never worked. Why
I'm
did
with
it
him on
ever
this.
exist?
I'm with him on this. It
There you
apparently
go.
did not work.
We found an agreement. We both hate Flash.
I've got to say, honestly, the amount of times I had to uninstall and reinstall the next version of Flash, because it would never just update. It would be like, no, you need to uninstall this.
Plus, every day you had like 10 new vulnerabilities.
I'm
Well, it was
afraid
made by Adobe. Who
I'm
just
going to
loves
have to
pure complete
disagree.
input.
I'm going to have to disagree with both of you.
No,
This is
you
where
got
I
it,
argue
March.
back.
You just disagreed with him. What did you say, March?
What? No, I was saying that Jose is right.
Oh.
It was full of vulns. It comes from Adobe, who love pure and complete input languages.
So
We got to the bit of the podcast where Jose and Ali believe that they never agree on anything, but actually agree on everything. And this is the thing for this podcast that they absolutely 100% agree on. And we'll say we never agree on anything, but we agree on this one thing. We found it. It's Flash.
that is,
Yes.
that is
We haven't
definitely what
disagreed on
happens.
anything this podcast, actually. We've been presenting a united front.
So I will definitely take the other side of that argument. Flash
wrong.
had many flaws. It did. It was very
Flash
insecure.
was a flaw.
Exactly.
However-
Thank you.
However, it allowed people to do things on the web that wouldn't have been possible otherwise at the time. Right?
Yes, they would. There were plenty of other potential alternatives to Flash.
Yes.
No.
Plus, HTML5 has been out for like 12 or 13 years or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it doesn't. It's not quite as good when it comes to animation.
Yeah, it's not
When it
quite
comes-
as good at what? Getting remote code execution?
When it comes to animation, Flash was very easy for people to use, which meant that a lot of teenagers and people learning to do animation were able to use that as a platform to create stuff, get a name for themselves and learn how to animate.
Yeah. Poor guys. They had to use a shitty technology for that. Well,
HTML5
if Flash didn't exist and wasn't so horrendously prolific, they would have used a normal, useful technology to learn
Such as?
useful skills
Such as?
and
The
live their
internet would have
dream.
been amazing if it wasn't
Let's
for
just
Flash.
think about it.
Flash
okay?
is the reason the internet
When
was
the
amazing.
original iPhone came out, okay, so smartphones as we know it, they already did not support Flash.
Mm-hmm.
That's
When was that? 2006?
2008.
Okay.
we didn't even have smartphones, and and Apple already knew that Flash was garbage.
So we've known for a long time that it's going to be fading away. However, I will argue this is the hill I will die on. Flash was required for the early internet, right? It made the internet what it was.
I love old technology. I love it. I love archiving it. I love, remembering the importance of it. The only thing we should do with Flash is burn it.
I'm sorry, this is literally coming from one of the few. Like, there's less than a handful of people in this country that can actually do like security assessments and hacks on like old style mainframes. March is one of them, and he's literally saying this old technology is so shit that I would just burn it.
No,
I would remove it from the history books.
Yes.
No.
I'd go for a full,
we don't burn books.
unpersoning it.
We don't burn books.
No. I don't burn books. I just, remove it
remove
from
Flash
history.
from them.
Yeah.
Don't burn books,
pretend it
just
never
Parler.
existed.
No, but wasn't there some kind of pretty big issues that a lot of things were still quite dependent on Flash for quite large companies, and they had absolutely no business continuity in place, and then it got retired.
That sounds a lot like their problem. I mean, it's their business decision.
But I saw a tweet from Kevin Beaumont that was saying, and he's working for Microsoft now, isn't he? Saying that this could potentially be a bit of a problem.
So I do agree with Jose and March here in that things do come to an end, and it is time that Flash is retired. I will
don't think
still
they said it that kindly.
I will still say, and I still definitely mean that Flash was needed in the early days, and it was a good technology. It wasn't secure. There was issues with like its development, but in terms of the technology itself and what it allowed people to do, it couldn't have been replaced.
It couldn't have been replaced. So what's going to replace it now?
Well, so now,
when was the last
I don't
time
know. Honestly, I'm not sure.
Flash? I don't think I have it installed in my computer for
Of course not. It's 2021. Of course it's not.
Okay.
But I don't know what people are doing now. I feel like HTML5 is not the same. The way that you do animation in it is different. Maybe we've just moved past what the internet was back then. People aren't really releasing animations like this. Nothing is really. Yeah, pardon?
Is that really sad for you?
In a way, yeah. But we're not seeing the same.
Out of curiosity, what was your opinion on Microsoft Silverlight?
It sucked. Silverlight sucked.
Silverlight was terrible.
Have you tried to get the work on Linux? Well, no, like Silverlight.
Yeah. No, I never had problems getting it working on Linux actually.
Okay, well, I did, and I've had to work with applications in Silverlight. Was not as good as Flash. Flash.
I mean, it's better. Really.
May I ask what Chippy's input is on this? I mean, she does develop like front end stuff. So,
but that's what I'm saying. It's different. She's not an animator.
I'm not. I just don't know if I have a strong opinion as you guys. So just let me fight it out. I mean, I enjoyed Flash when I was younger, I guess, but I agree. I feel like it could have died quite a long time ago.
So I didn't say that it shouldn't have died a long time ago. I'm saying that it was important and it filled a niche and a need that we had it for the internet at the time. It was important, and I will definitely miss.
Can I ask my question whilst you're lamenting the loss of Flash?
With my tear rolling down my eye.
With your tear rolling down your eye, and then we've even managed to kind of compare it to Silverlight. I mean, this is the bottom of the barrel that we're scraping here. Okay, so
I'm just contractually obliged to make sure Microsoft has mentioned a certain number.
Oh, don't worry. We have many points that Chippy and I picked up to make sure that your lust for Microsoft can be fulfilled. But we have spoken in the past about things that work that are no longer financially or commercially viable going open source. Is that what should have happened with Flash?
So I do think that should have happened with Flash, just so that we could all see it one last time, laugh at how bad it was, and then just put it in the ground.
I legit
maybe like in a concrete coffin.
I'm sorry, I need to take a break. Okay, I can't do this anymore.
I legit think that Flash should never have existed. I just want to say that. It's not that even it should have been deprecated a long time ago. It's not even that. It's like it never should have existed at all.
Associating something with your misspent youth, Jamel.
Badger.
Some kind of
you could have had badger in another technology.
No, you couldn't.
Maybe you could have like had something much better than badger.
You couldn't have,
but you were limited by shitty.
You
Flash.
couldn't have anything else. There was nothing that was like as cross-platform, as available, as easy to use. That sparked
Microsoft Silverlight.
Massive. Shut up. That sparked this massive like explosion.
HTML?
No.
Or JavaScript?
No, no, that's not animation. You can't be like, oh, you want to be an animator? Go learn JavaScript.
Platforms.
No, dude, no. I'm sorry. Like, so what I will say is it shouldn't be used for like business applications. I do agree, but for animations and for like gaming and like all that browser-based stuff, there was nothing else at the time that could do it, man. JavaScript. Come on, like this was like IE6.
I'm stranded in an island, okay?
Yes.
And I have this shitty water running, like a stream running right beside me, and I need to drink, right?
Yes.
So I'll drink the shitty water and get diarrhea every time, right? Because I need water, and instead of just looking for a clean and safe water stream, I'll just drink the shitty water for years and years and years because there's nothing else to replace it.
Correct. That is what I'm saying. Because
I just wanted to make sure that
the alternative is no water, and then
of course,
we wouldn't.
How can you say that? We don't have Flash now, and we are surviving.
Oh yeah,
so
but
there are alternatives.
Yeah, but we got YouTube and things. Things are different. Like Imagine, man. Imagine no Newgrounds. Imagine no. What did I used to watch? It was with the little men that would fight.
Imagine no.
Just want to say that we
one's-
had YouTube back
Right.
then as well, and it ran on Flash, unfortunately.
So yeah, the video stuff running in Flash was always a bit lame. I do
kind
agree
of
with
love
that.
that you're kind of going through everything. Kind of agree,
I'm
like Charlie the Unicorn, we have that.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't really a fan, but yeah, like the stickmen fighting, right? The madness, like combat, like all these things would never have happened without Flash. Salad fingers, Saskia. Salad fingers.
Salad fingers are still existing today without Flash.
And it would have happened without Flash.
It would have happened in a
It
different way.
would. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. It wouldn't have happened.
At this point is that you are accepting digital dysentery because you couldn't be bothered to walk down the beach and find a clean stream.
Exactly.
I'm saying that I would rather have digital dysentery than do the work that I was assigned in school. Yes.
On a side note, I do feel that digital dysentery would be a good name for this podcast.
I do feel that Chippy's quite right. Maybe we need to change it to digital dysentery. But also, if you took salad fingers away from me, I would be deeply, deeply unhappy.
Yes.
Can I just
I
say
feel
that
like
digital dysentery is like a really good name for a band.
yeah.
Yeah, but we're not ever going to be a band or pretend to be one, a la certain people. So we can either have it for the podcast or move on.
So I feel like we need to move on. I need to let my blood pressure
I think
lower.
you need to move on.
Yeah.
I think this is.
Well, I mean,
I'm the one who's crying, but that's from trying to stifle my laughter.
whilst I try and compose myself and meditate, bring my chi back down here. Let's hear a little bit about the Pwnie Awards. Maybe that will help.
Chippy, what did you say?
None of the winners were that.
What did you say to me earlier whilst I was pretending to be the Duke of Hastings?
I was saying that none of the winners were that exciting or funny, but mostly they just weren't funny. I'm sure they were exciting. Because Jay was saying we should probably touch on it, and I was just like,
is there nothing worth mentioning?
So,
well, Saskia's probably going to bring up this Microsoft one just basically to infuriate
I will say before
certain
that,
people.
I will say that unfortunately, the giggle thing didn't win an award.
We didn't win.
we did
No.
not win. We did not win. We weren't mentioned in
It's
in our
okay.
nomination, and then we didn't win. So
Next year, I'll do something stupid for next time.
That was for the lamest vendor response.
Which one were you going to use to Microsoft?
I have an idea. So you would never win because, I mean, the Pwnie Award would go to Giggle, not to you. But what you can do, Jay, is you can, do basically anything in Flash, and then you win a Pwnie Award.
You would be literally the lamest vendor, although I did rename our company at some point today whilst in the guise of Lord Saskia, what did I call it, Chippy?
I don't remember.
The Automotive Interruption Company or something?
Oh, that was to me. You were talking about cars.
Oh no, I was doing it to both of you. I was literally in the guise of a Georgian lord all afternoon because life is just so incredibly boring in lockdown.
Okay, so you were basically interrupting the whole company with your little game.
No, I wasn't, because I didn't do it in general or random, because not everyone can understand my flowery language when I talk like that. And I stopped eventually because nobody would communicate with me after 2 hours of doing it because you're all bloody boring. So then I had to go and find WhatsApp groups who would entertain me doing it, and then they got bored too. So I have decided that all of you are my subjects and you can just knob off. But Microsoft was the most epic fail in the Pwnie Awards.
Okay, what happened there?
So it says, this award is for the defenders who dared to wonder what could possibly go wrong, for the investors who happily departed with an 8-figure check for a pitch presenting snake oil served over to word salad on a fool's gold platter. I quite like this language. It feels much more Lord Saskia.
I see.
So, for the InfoSec vendors who adopted defense by deception as a marketing strategy, the award will honour a person or corporate's entity spectacular fail, the kind of fail that lets the entire InfoSec industry down in its wake. Gosh, this is terribly damning. It can be a singular incident, marketing piece, or investment, or a smolder trail of whale-scale fail. And it's gone to Microsoft for Microsoft's implementation of the elliptic curve signatures, which allowed attackers to generate private pairs to the public keys of any legitimate signer. Do we remember this one?
Yes, I remember this one. It's part of the X509 validation thing. Basically, you could generate a custom cert that looked like another known curve and looked like it was signed, basically.
So it says here this enables
the base point generator. Basically, Windows checked the public key and all the other stuff, but it didn't check the base point generator constant, which actually generates the curve in ECC. So effectively, it bypassed things and it looked like everything was authenticated and safe. And
so you could spoof HTTPS on.
If I recall, it was mostly for software, wasn't it? But
no,
maybe it was also HTTPS as well.
Yeah, it enabled the spoofing of any HTTPS website or signed binary on effective version of Windows. So we did actually talk about this in November or was it October or November when I was just basically going through all of the categories where we hadn't been named and other people had been. And not at all being salty, but we definitely brought this one up. But I think Chippy and I only bring up the Microsoft stuff because we know how much Jose and March have a hard-on for Microsoft.
It was a very difficult bug to exploit. You needed to write a bunch of custom tools, if I recall. So I wouldn't have considered it that big a fail.
Also, X509, I mean, who even understands that? It's such a broken thing.
Well, most things are broken in computing, right? But yeah. And crypto and every library that everyone uses. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Microsoft because it's a shitty thing to have implemented, but...
This is just me and March excusing Microsoft.
Yeah, this is a very different reaction to anything else.
If this was Flash.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Have they paid you yet?
No, but I have paid.
You have paid. I mean, if we could build our listener base, then maybe you get a T-shirt.
I'd be cool with that.
Oh, dream big.
If I could get an Xbox T-shirt, it would be definitely worth it.
I've just got one that has, Steve Ballmer's face on it.
So we were obviously not nominated in lamest vendor response because we weren't the vendor. It was Giggle that was lamest vendor response.
But who won that award, though?
Daniel J. Bernstein.
Which
in a
one was
world
that?
where bug bounties are mostly about winning on social media. Mostly about whining on social media about duplicates. Sorry, you are not the only one who can find open redirects. I'm sorry, this is quite far away from me. A generous offer from a last millennium. Sorry, goodness me. Somebody else read this. Chippy, you can see it.
I don't have it up on my screen.
I have it. Hang on. Lamest. In a world where bug bounties are mostly about whining on social media about duplicates, sorry, you are not the only one who can find open redirects. A generous offer from the last millennium still reminds us of a more civilized age. And what can match such a great incentive better than a beautiful exploit that took 15 years and several generations of hardware to develop? Too bad we've lost this marker of excellence because the exploit does not work on the issuer's configuration. 42949667296 array elements ought to be enough for everyone, right? And then it's apparently CVE 2005.
That sounds pretty lame.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a Qmail exploit. Well, I don't understand why I would need to care. I don't even know who Daniel Bernstein is. I'm going to Google him now.
You Google that, and I will talk about the best privilege escalation bug.
He's apparently a professor in the Department of Mathematics and Computer Science at Eindhoven University of Technology, research professor. I've seen this man before. Why have I seen this man?
Well, I think you know everyone in InfoSec.
You literally know everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say I know everyone.
Just
You know pretty much everyone.
Yeah. Checkmate won the best privilege escalation bug. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So Checkmate is an unpatchable USB boot ROM exploit for 1 billion Apple devices. It is actually cool. I had to
Yes.
buy a new iPhone for testing a week ago or 2 weeks ago or something, and I could buy one knowing that I would be able to jailbreak it no matter which version of iOS was shipped.
Yep.
Did you
Fantastic.
say shit or shipped?
Shipped.
Oh.
Yeah, because it came with iOS, 14.2, I think.
I mean,
but it didn't matter.
Not only that, I mean, even if you bought one, new from the store and you waited for a jailbreak to come, and then there's an update, and that's it. You can't update your device anymore. But with a checkmate vulnerable device, you can just use basically every single firmware ever. Well, they have implemented some mitigations on iOS 14, but there are software mitigations to what it is essentially like a hardware problem.
Yeah, I mean, I was able to.
It's read-only firmware, so there's not much you can do.
Yeah, I was able to jailbreak 14.2 super easily. So I don't think like everything is supported, but that is because it's just not been implemented. Like the support for the jailbreak hasn't been implemented.
But it's just a matter of time.
Exactly. So I definitely feel like that one is deserves the award for sure.
So to be honest, saying like as somebody who isn't technical and mobile, with 3 people on the podcast who are technical and mobile, the frustration around jailbreaking that I've witnessed all of you go through, although it is hilarious, I can see that. Like, wasn't there a situation when we were in the DI offices where we had to keep one of the phones permanently plugged in to keep it?
Oh yeah. So you still need to do that.
And then Amy came in and was like, "Oh, a charger," and then charged her phone.
So that may have happened, but that's not a problem. Like you can re-jailbreak it, but
it's just a pain.
It's a pain. So what tends to happen is the tools break a lot. So Apple will update something. Like on their server, and then some of the tools you're using will stop working, and it becomes like really complex. Things will stop being signed and whatever. But the one thing that always sticks in my mind is trying to jailbreak a phone. And when the phone gets too hot, the jailbreak wouldn't work, and you wouldn't be able to jailbreak it. So I had to put the phone in the fridge for a little while to get it to cool back down, so I could try jailbreaking it again.
That sounds like a very specific problem to your device.
No,
I never had that problem.
That's how I knew that it was. I had to put it in the fridge because it was common. So it was, what jailbreak was it? Maybe Helix or something. And yeah, if it gets too hot, then it won't work. And every time you try to run it, the device gets like quite a lot hotter. So, and it can take a few times for the device
to
work.
If there weren't any other alternatives, because I do remember Helix and I do remember not using it. So I must have been using something else, but it might be because of the devices that I have. I don't know.
Is this another digital dysentery discussion where you're like,
no,
saw Helix and then...
But yeah, I couldn't. I just thought, was like, God damn it! Let's put it in the fridge. Left it there for 5 minutes, took it back out, and jailbreak worked first time.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, we can buy devices like with an A10 chip, which is like 2017, 2018. So they're still going to be supported for a few years. And we know that we're going to be able to jailbreak, whatever firmware. So it's a really, really nice thing to have, and something that we didn't have for like maybe 10 years. I don't know. Last time was the GeoHots one, right?
So Saskia, for comparison, to jailbreak this newer device I have, literally just plug it in, run an application, jailbroke it.
So I have a comparison to this story, but it's a chinchilla and not a phone.
Let's hear it.
So my brother-in-law at the time, and my sister used to have a chinchilla called Godzilla chinchilla. And when Godsey was quite small, he was like a free roaming chinchilla. He would only be put in his cage at night. And at one point he got too excited over some things and ran around a little bit too much, and then just completely conked out and was completely unconscious on the floor. And my brother-in-law thought he'd died, so he called the vet, and the vet said that he had actually overheated, and if they overheat, that they pass out. So he had to put him, he was instructed to put him in a Tupperware container and put him in the freezer. And if he did that, then the chinchilla would reboot. So put Godzilla in a Tupperware container and put him in the freezer. And then you have to time it for X number of minutes. I don't remember how many that was, but Darren is absolutely lovely, and I'm sure he would tell you if you ever asked him. But yeah, then he rebooted his chinchilla and removed it from the freezer, opened the Tupperware, and Godsey just popped out, perfectly happy, rebooted. So you can also reboot a chinchilla in the freezer as well as a phone if it overheats.
I will keep that in mind. Jose, what were you going to say?
I'm just speechless. Can we please leave this story in the podcast?
Okay.
I was like, my heart is rushing. Like, this was way more exciting than the Flash conversation.
We'll leave it in because that information might be useful to someone.
Yes, there you go. You can reboot a chinchilla by putting it in the freezer.
However, yes. Okay, so.
Oh no!
So
yes,
that's
all I wanted.
Do you know what that means? That means it's time for our main topic. Yay!
Unmute to clap.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that could have been a bit louder.
What about the ransomware to IoT chastity cage?
Oh, okay. Tell us about that.
I don't know. It's in your topics.
Okay. Let's pretend that didn't happen, and I will replay the tune later. So yeah, this one was kind of interesting. Saskia, do you want to tell us about it?
So basically, there was a thing that apparently a gentleman who was in possession of the penis cage that we talked about previously, that our good friend Andrew Tierney, Cyber Gibbons, had found a hack for that could trap you inside penis cage, had basically had somebody lock his penis cage and ransomware him for this for approximately $750.
Oof.
Turned out his penis was not in the cage when the cage was locked, so therefore he didn't pay the ransom, but did rather bring up the question of whether this vulnerability had indeed been fixed or not.
This is just, fin doming, but on a new level.
Yeah, yes. I see.
I would just play with the extortionist and be like, are you sure this is a ransom, or are you just trying to pleasure me?
Do you want maybe offer to pay them, but because you're enjoying it so much?
Offer to pay them to keep it closed.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're one of these people who uses them, then that might be exciting for you,
I'm not sure if we're offending anyone. Maybe there's like this real like idea that it's about trust or whatever, but
if we are offending people, we apologize, and it's a lack of understanding. And
I totally respect that.
Yeah, I mean, like, to have your fetish is fine. We judge no one as long as it's legal and consensual.
And be safe about it.
But also,
and don't buy things that connect to the internet. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you are in possession of a penis cage that Cyber Gibbons has broken and has said that you can do these things with, probably don't put your dong in it.
Good advice.
Really, like he is Lord of all things, breaky IoT, and scary drinking stories. Those are kind of his things.
How do these things not have like a safety mechanism?
Well, apparently it's a bolt cutter. The safety mechanism is
that's not a good thing. Like just have like a little plastic piece that you can, with some extra strength, pry it open. That's it.
Maybe that takes away.
That sounds like a really basic.
Yeah, I'm with Chippy on this one. It's about being dominated, isn't it? If you know that you've got like an escape route, it's like the sex box, isn't it? Really?
No, not the sex box.
The sex box, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but you don't want to ruin your penis cage, right?
Honestly,
like you're not gonna break it open just because. You're gonna break it open in case of emergency.
Yeah, like a safe word, but a physical thing.
Yeah, like a fail-safe.
Let's move on. This is not a.
Well, I still haven't learned what the sex box is.
No. I actually can't really tell you what the sex box is, I'm afraid. I mean, we can when we're off air.
How bad can it be?
Sexbox is fascinating.
And why did Alistair change colors?
What's wrong with my colors? Do you not like my pink cape?
I do like it. I
Sweet.
just wasn't expecting the sudden change of color. That was all.
I did actually message, which we're not allowed to do, and I know we'll get in trouble, but I did actually message Chippy to one side just to say that your outfits are on point today, Alistair.
My blue jacket and my pink cape.
And your like kind of puffy pants. I do like the puffy pants.
Thank you.
I didn't notice the puffy pants, and I only just saw your message.
I'm
but-
loving the shaving. I'm loving the hairstyle. It's nice to see. I love it when you change image.
I do it every now and then just to fuck with people.
Yeah, just to shake things up a little bit. Jose does as well. Do you remember when he used to have really long hair and I used to braid it for him?
Oh yeah.
Did anyone see the
Let's just talk something else. So just to annoy.
He went all the way to Portugal with a French braid that I put in his hair.
It's true. Then I cut it off and donated my hair for cancer kids.
oh,
Aw.
It's really wholesome.
Yeah, actually, the girl in the post. What do you call this? Like the post office. The girl in the post office. When she asked what was in the letter, and I explained, and she started crying.
Aw. Probably because she was jealous of your hair.
I would have just said it's human hair. No.
and now
content.
I'm really good friends with her boyfriend.
And all because you were shipping human hair.
Yes,
Maybe I should
exactly.
do that.
Jay's so unimpressed. Look at his face.
did
What did you do with your long
Anyone?
hair, Jay?
Yeah, what did you do with your hair, Jay?
a lot of it went in the bin, and some is downstairs in the shed.
Your hair's in the shed.
No. Okay, let's move to the next topic, please.
Well, you asked. It's in the
Oh,
shed.
it's like baby Jay's dreads.
My dreadlocks. My nan kept them.
They're still in the shed.
Oh,
That's
man.
adorable.
Well, my nan is very sentimental,
It's a much better answer than what I was expecting, to be honest.
and so I had my dreadlocks from 0 to 12. And when I got them cut at 12, she wanted to keep them for sentimental
Oh,
reasons.
that's actually really adorable. You could glue them back on.
You could really use them.
I don't know if we just shocked him into silence. It's frozen
He
again.
broke Jay.
I think he's rage quit.
Yeah.
I'm back, I think. So did anyone see the that someone was able to steal like private YouTube videos?
No.
No, so this one wasn't really like publicized in a lot of places.
Sounds
but
like a pretty big deal.
so it does sound like a big deal. It wasn't that big, but it was interesting, right?
Was
So
that
it was
the one that was quite difficult to exploit?
So it would have been, yeah, but it was a bug bounty that the guy got. I think it was the guy who got $5,000 for it. But just very quickly, what happened again? Just because I think it was actually kind of interesting. He was trying to find a way to view private videos. So YouTube, obviously, you can put videos as private, unlisted, etc. And if it's private, no one else should be able to view it, even if they know the URL. So he's trying to find a way to access it. And he realized that if he managed to get an advert on the page, right? So in the video, he had this option to view like a screenshot of a specific time in the video. I guess this is so advertisers can like understand more about the videos they're being advertised on and things.
Yes.
So by scripting that up, by requesting like consecutive milliseconds in the video, he was able to place an advert on the page that was then able to view the video and then steal the video a screenshot at a time, and then was able to stitch that together. Now, I guess this means there wasn't audio, and it would have been fairly complex to actually exploit. But yeah, I just kind of like the idea of like an advert exploiting the thing to be able to get access to these.
Let me get this right. Is this like the stop still animation version of hacking something?
I mean, yeah, in a way, because you get all the screenshots and you got to stitch them back together.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was like a cool thing. Again, I don't know how like
So
useful.
the only limitation really is the audio and the cost, but the cost won't even be that much.
No, not at all.
Well,
Especially
one would assume time would be an issue.
no, I mean, it
You
would be
could
pretty
automate
quick.
it, I think.
If you automated it, okay.
Yeah,
I think.
No, yeah, of course. Like, so he was just like sending requests to get it. But yeah,
I'm just saying that I don't know if Google Ads has an API to automate something to that level. That's
so he says here, he wrote us a quick and dirty proof of concept, which downloaded the frames for the first 3 seconds of video. He just decoded them and then generated a GIF based on them. And the video, he's got the proof of concept. I don't know how long it takes to run. I mean, it's not super fast, I guess. But I mean, it's time for our main topic. And you laughed the first time. So
I love